What makes a hero? A hero is more than just someone who saves lives. It's someone who is kind and goes out of their way to help others. Across the DMV, there are many unmasked heroes who pour into the community without asking for anything in return. We wanted to take the time to highlight those people and their contributions. I'm Samantha Gilstrap, and this is DMV Heroes. Have you ever wanted to be an archaeologist? Well, today we're digging into all the ways you can get involved and learn about being an archaeologist in your community. I really appreciate you being here with us today. First, I'd like to talk about, what started your love for archaeology and how'd you get into it in the first place?
So I got introduced to archaeology while I was in college at Howard University. I initially went in as a pre-med student. Didn't do very well in biology. And so as a result, my mom actually suggested anthropology. She was working at the Smithsonian, so knew quite a few anthropologists, that it's the perfect merge between history and science. And so I took a few courses, and as soon as I took my Intro to Archaeology course, just absolutely fell in love. My professor took students the following summer to Chimchic Mill, Mexico. I was picked as one of the students to go, and I have never looked back.
You said your mom worked at the Smithsonian? Okay, what was that like growing up? Did she influence at all in that way?
It was like a true night at the museum. Being a baby or a child of a person who works at the Smithsonian is really kind of cool. She was a curator. So there were a lot of nights where we would meet her after hours in the museum. So I kind of got to walk through the exhibit halls to go to the different offices and that sort of thing. So I saw a lot of the exhibits before other people, or at least got to see them without all of the crowd. So it was kind of nice growing up and getting all of that history and heritage right at your fingertips.
What made you decide to come back to DC? Because I know this is your home, but other than that, was there any reason to come back?
One, it's home, just period. I'm a native Washingtonian, born and raised in DC, wanted to come back. But the other thing was I saw kind of a void. Even though we're in the shadow of the Smithsonian, one of the things that I noticed were many kids aren't exposed to archaeology or archaeologists. And so at that time, it was a requirement for students to do outreach and to do some sort of community service, which was kind of cool that Berkeley asked their graduate students to do that. For me, I chose, which was kind of crazy, that I would do my community service every semester home. So I would fly home every semester at least once to do a youth program around archaeology because I wanted students to just see an archaeologist, someone that looked like them, somebody who was from DC who was doing this as well. And it actually developed into my nonprofit. While I was graduating, writing my dissertation, I started archaeology in the community, which is something that I wouldn't advise anybody to do, is write a dissertation and start a nonprofit at the same time. But I started it, and it was all based here, working with a DCPS school, teaching them archaeology.
Can you tell us more about what archaeology in the community is?
Yeah, so Archaeology in the Community is a nonprofit. We have 3 programmatic arms. One is youth education. The other is professional development. So that's working with classroom teachers to teach archaeology, graduate students how to do community-engaged archaeology. And then the other arm is community events and community projects. And so for that arm, it's a little bit more diverse. We have kind of more freedom under that arm. So we host our Day of Archaeology Festival under that. We do programs for adults, and we also have workshops that we host as well. Our archaeology clubs are kicking off, so for the next few months, it's free. Okay. All you have to do is sign your student up, or your young child, or the person that you care most about. It's for middle schoolers. We have moved it where it's in every ward in DC. So we're trying to literally blanket DC with archaeology. And we made it cool where the first one is an intro to archaeology and then a specialized. So students can learn about toys, they can learn about plants, they can learn about animal bones. So they can go to our website on our youth page and sign them up, and it's free, which is kind of awesome. The other thing that we're doing is last year we kicked off the inaugural DC Archaeology Month. And so with that, we had the first DC Archaeology poster that was produced. This year, we decided to do it a little bit different. So we're partnered with the DCPS school. We are focused on River Terrace School in Anacostia, which was the site of two Piscataway archaeological sites. Okay. The students learned all about the school and the sites, and they're making the DC archaeology poster for this year. And what we've done, what we've done is we didn't want to put the pressure on them for actually doing all the graphic design, so we partnered with Nabi Bilal, who's a local artist. He's taking all of their ideas and is going to professionally create the DC archaeology poster, which will be announced in May.
I'm excited for that to come out and see what the students create. And that's so cool that it's happening right in their own backyard. You would never think that over in Anacostia there's an archaeological dig site right there. And I know you talked a lot about, seeing yourself in archaeology and having kids see people who look like them do it. Can you talk a little bit more about maybe the importance of diversity in this field?
Yeah, currently right now, there is about 1% of the field of archaeology that are African American archaeologists. And of that percent, also being a woman. This is not a field that typically young women see themselves in.
This is a nail company that basically produced a chart for people who build in 1880. And this is every type of nail that they offer. But what you'll see is they're different sizes, right?
So when I walk into classrooms, one of the things that I not only represent being African American, but I also represent being a woman in STEM. And so I think it's important for young ladies to be able to see that I'm outside, I'm digging in holes, I'm getting dirty. You don't have to be the stereotype of just, always poised, always put together. You too can get dirty and grungy, but still, have a very successful career in STEM. And so that's kind of why I do it. It's kind of why I talk back. But I also come back and really committed to being in DC because I want DC youth to see that they have somebody who's championing and who's here doing that work and that labor, all about our history and our heritage as well. And that our history and heritage as Native Washingtonians is very important.
Do you have any, memories or moments with maybe somebody who was younger who you helped get interested in the field?
One of my students who started out in our Young Archaeologists Club is now a freshman in college. And so I've been helping her, assisting with her. I've actually even talked to her advisor. She presented a paper, which is kind of wild to have a freshman in college present at a professional conference this past year.
That's a big accomplishment, yeah. What's your favorite part of, I know, like I said, you're behind a million different things, but specifically with archaeology in the community, what's your favorite part of the work you do there?
Working with the kids. I can be honest, adults are great. We're wonderful people, but it's something about watching the light bulb go off in a child's face, watching like that first aha moment, having them, give out hugs, occasionally, because they really appreciated you making what they've learned in school real, and the hands-on activities and seeing how it translates to them. That's what I love the most about this job.
What's something you've discovered on a dig or on a site that has really inspired you, or anything, just kind of left field that you can remember from your time?
For me, it's the mundane. I think
Okay.
Most people expect when you go to an archaeological site, gold or like
jewels or
no. We don't get to find any of those. People took it with them.
Yes.
It's very rare that they left those really cool things behind. So for me, it's finding the buttons, or I found a broken pressing comb one time, pieces of clothing, papers, like those sorts of things that still are preserved in the archaeological record, which is also kind of hard because you're talking about something that's been in the ground or been hidden for 80 plus years, all the way back sometimes to 1,000. So it's finding those things that makes it personal, that makes you kind of like walk into and meet someone. We're in a very precarious time with our education system where teachers don't have a lot of resources. They're being kind of stifled in what they can do. And one of the things that we are really committed to is making sure that all of our lesson plans and everything that we teach students align with the Common Core standards and DC standards. So oftentimes what we're doing is literally reinforcing what the teachers are teaching, but in a different and fun way, so that the students are able to go back to school saying, oh, yeah, we learned about this, or oh, I learned from, you know, this sort of thing. We also go above and beyond, so we don't just teach, we also make curriculum. So we produced a curriculum for DC Public School for 3rd and 5th grade that teachers can integrate in that also incorporates archaeology and history. And it's easy enough that because we did all the legwork of making sure that it fits with them, and what they have to teach, they could just seamlessly integrate it in. So all of our activities are hands-on, all of them are fun, none of them are lecture. So I think we really give kids a different way of looking at STEM that is fun, and for that we don't struggle as hard as some do when teaching like STEM related courses.
Yes.
But I would say our biggest challenge definitely comes down to funding.
I know a lot of your work right now, you're dealing with, you know, getting grants and funding, and I kind of wanted to talk to you about, you know, the struggles you may be having with that amid the current political climate, amid what's going on with, you know, the federal government right now. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, a lot of smaller nonprofits are struggling. Most people don't realize that the entities like humanities, grants, those sort of things actually are funded through the federal government. And so that money is then trickled down to state and local organizations that basically oversee and give them out to nonprofits that they see are doing great work, or, you know, so they do the legwork versus the higher ups. And the problem is that more and more all of those grants have been cut, which has made it harder for nonprofits. So a lot of us are now heavily reliant on donations and donors supporting the work that we do.
And what advice would you give to maybe more youth who are interested in going into this field?
We offer internships as well for high school students, so you can come out and learn in that capacity. So there are just a number of different ways. There's a slew of organizations in the area as well, but also just going to the museums and starting out there to see what the link is from archaeology and the handheld artifacts to the history and heritage that we understand today. I think it's important for us to understand where we come from, the mistakes we've made in the past, and how not to make them, and how to move forward in a more informed manner. And so I think people truly understanding our collective history and past does that, and that's what I impart upon my students, is that, yeah, we're all different. Yeah, we come from all backgrounds, and yes, we are all American. But in order to truly understand each other and to have a better kind of understanding of where we should go as a collective group of people, we have to understand our shared and different past.
I'm Samantha Gilstrap.
And we are DMV Heroes.